And welcome to the Superb Diamond Range Show. This is your host Superb, broadcasting from Edinburgh. Today's date's the 17th of July 2015, and today's show is going to be about how to win the lottery. Now, the lottery is a game that I played, I believe, from the beginning when it originally came out. I can't exactly remember my age, but I was obviously over 16, which is the legal age to play. And I remember everybody telling me that, you know, if you play, you got a great chance of winning, and, you know, you got to play. And I felt like, wouldn't it be nice to win such high sums of money? You know, look at all the things I could do. You know, I could, I don't know, buy a house, I could travel around the world. I could buy all the things I like, I don't know, computers at the time, maybe a hi-fi, and, you know, all these possibilities. And it sort of later transferred to more of a fix that if I won it, maybe then I wouldn't have to do the job that I hate. So, you know, I could come in on Monday morning and quit, because, you know, now I've won this lottery and I've got all this money in my bank account. I don't need to have a boss anymore, and I can just go and live the life I've always wanted to. You know, in other words, do what I want to do with my life, whether it be, I don't know, start a business, or, you know, travel a bit and have experiences that I never had, and help people, obviously, which is, you know, sometimes people forget that when they think about, you know, winning lots of money. And some people get really greedy, and it just depends on how they are. You know, maybe the money goes to their head, and, you know, buying a few number of Lamborghinis is more important than, you know, helping family or friends. And then obviously you get the people that, you know, come out of the woodwork that just want help, and they're, you know, trying to ask you for money, and, you know, they never spoke to you before you won. So yeah, it's always going to be things like that. Ultimately, I feel that the lottery, you know, just gives false hope. You know, sure, you know, I'm not going to say that it's impossible to win it, but obviously a lot of people, it's part of their life plan or their financial plan. It's like, you know, one day I'm going to win, so therefore I'll take care of all my debt, and I'll take care of everything, you know. So I don't need to save for the future, or start a business, or try to look at ways of increasing their income, you know, because obviously soon that you're going to win the lottery, you know. And I was a believer in this as well. I actually had it in my own financial plan. I didn't know when, but I just kept believing it was around the corner. And I remember traveling a lot to Italy in the past, and there was parts of Italy that I really liked. And I used to, you know, think, well, once I get back to England, start playing the lottery again, you know, maybe I can get a winning ticket and come back and live in Italy, because I was so into that place at the time. And as I say, you know, I would even tell my friends, I would say, look, soon I'm going to be winning this lottery game, and I'll be coming over to, you know, buy a house and live over there, kind of thing. And, you know, even at the time, the friends I had that were in Italy they weren't interested in lottery. They were more interested in their education and studying and learning, and, you know, potentially getting a job or a career. Ultimately, I used to feel that the lottery was almost the answer to everything. So once I win the lottery, that'll be it. I'll just do what I like, and, you know, I can, you know, have anything I want, basically, and I wouldn't have to worry about money. And, you know, there's a lot of people that kind of come from different backgrounds, and, you know, there are families that have always had a lot of money, so therefore they've never known what it feels like to have £0 in your account. So obviously, you know, you kind of get times when you're really low on money. You know, you might be paid all your bills and had some unexpected expenses, and, you know, even the little money that you do have, you might have some money left just to play a ticket on the lottery. and of course you'll think that, oh, this is my last pound, so I'll probably win, and then tomorrow I'll be able to fix everything. And again, it does create you to become quite lazy, because you kind of think, well, I don't really like the job I'm in right now, I don't want to change my life, so therefore, but soon I'm going to win this lottery, so it's all going to take care of everything. And they might have ideas of wanting to start businesses, or do some sort of, I don't know, volunteering in another country, but obviously they can't because they're got too many bills to pay, financially restricted and unable to do it. But of course this winning ticket is coming, so soon they'll be able to achieve everything that they want. I remember in particular there being times in jobs when I'd had really negative experiences, whether it had been with staff members or with managers, and all I could think about was, I don't really want to return here, I don't want to keep taking this rubbish, and I would just be like, okay, the weekends come in, I'm going to win the lottery. I remember talking to a lot of colleagues about it, and all my colleagues were obsessed with it. They were like, okay, we heard about this guy won however many million in the Euroball, and they were kind of like, okay, it's going to be me this time, and oh, I didn't check my ticket. And there was even like a lottery syndicate at work. I never joined it. I used to, at the time, just kind of shows you a bit of mentality, but I just didn't like the idea of sharing it, the prize, because I just was too greedy. I just wanted to win it for myself, and I was always asked, do you want to join, and I was like, nah, I'm okay, kind of thing, I'm not interested. And I don't think they really ever won anything in my time of working in that place, but yeah, they were convinced that the day was going to come, and more and more people joined the syndicate. And some people tell you that probably you have a better chance if you join a syndicate, because obviously you have more numbers in a draw. Obviously within England you've got, or the UK rather, you've got like two kind of main lottery games, one being the lotto itself, which is played Wednesday and Saturday, and then you've got the Euromillions, which is played on Tuesdays and Friday, which is other European countries play as well, like Germany and Ireland, for example, and France, I believe. And the Euromillions is usually very, very high jackpots, and obviously it rolls over quite a lot, which is something that I find very interesting. It always seems to roll over, because it just proves it again that it's quite a tough game to win, because nobody won, so it rolled over. I guess for many people they feel, and even I did at many times in my life, that it's just an easy way out. It's like, things aren't going too well, so I'm actually not going to take action within my own life to try to remedy things or make my life better. So therefore, all I've got to do is, whatever money I have, just put it on the lottery, and just hope and pray that you're going to get this financial reward, and that everything's going to be taken care of, and all your problems are just going to go away, because you're going to have all this money, and you're going to know exactly what to do with it and how to spend it. And a lot of it as well is Camelot, the company that does the lotto here. They have an advertising campaign, and they love it when the winners go for publicity, and then they sort of all over the newspapers. And if you read the comment section of newspaper sites online, you just start to see the kind of the societal jealousy that particularly by people within the forums, that many of them will kind of will leave messages of jealousy and hate, and ask questions like, why did they win? They shouldn't have won. It should have been me, and I will win, and when I win I'm going to spend it on this, and I'm going to spend it on that. And that is the general vibe that you pick up. Obviously there are well-wishers that say congratulations, because one of the biggest things is many people in society become jealous of people that had more than them, and obviously they feel that, particularly in the lottery, because it's kind of a game, as they say, of luck. So when you win the lottery, you're very lucky to win, so therefore you didn't earn it or you didn't work hard for it. And a lot of people struggle with people that win. I'm trying to remember a quote in the movie The Colour of Money. I think it was money won is twice as sweet as money earned. And it kind of goes to prove that, obviously winning at a game, it's a completely different thing to working good old-fashioned hard work and using your mind to kind of, make money. And, obviously, you can't say that the person doesn't deserve to win if they played the game and they took the risk and they were willing to sacrifice the money that went into playing. So for me, I don't hold any grudge with anybody that plays the lottery or wins the lottery. That's completely their choice, and ultimately it's their money, so they can do with it what they want. But yeah, going back to what I was saying about the Camelot, they have like an advertising campaign, and I remember it was always "It could be you," and it was, if I remember right, it's a hand with the fingers crossed symbol, to kind of say, oh, if you keep your fingers crossed, it could be you. And ultimately, that's all it takes, planting that seed in most people's mind, that it could be you. So even though the odds are really high, and the chances of you winning are really, really low, it's that belief that it could be you. And I've got friends and I've got family members that are convinced that their time's going to come and that they're going to win. And I, again, was one of those people. I used to believe it. I used to think, yep, my time's coming, soon it will all be taken care of, and there's no doubt in my mind that I will win. I wasn't sure when, but I was just going to keep playing until I found out, when that was. And I started off, I think I played the same numbers on the lotto initially, and I remember it being £1 a ticket, and then of course it jumped up to £2 a ticket. So it went from sort of paying, say, £2 a week to, when the price got doubled, to paying £4 a week. And there would be the occasional rollover where I would feel tempted to buy more than the usual 2 tickets a week for Wednesday and Saturday. So, and not just that, then all of a sudden the Euromillions came out, and it was like, okay, so I've got 2 more chances a week, so 4 altogether, to potentially win a jackpot. So I would play the odd, Euromillions on the, maybe on the Tuesday or on the Friday. And ultimately I used to believe that, now I've got more chance, because there's more draws, and then I started to look at how hard it was to win the Euromillions in comparison to the lotto. So I kind of stopped playing the Euromillions initially, even though the jackpots were much bigger, but the odds of winning weren't quite as good. And then obviously I thought, oh, well, lotto's a bit more likely to win, but even though it's still not, it's still really, really impossible. So therefore I would, I started to sort of cut down, I guess, because I would stop playing the Euromillions and I would go back to the lotto. And I remember, like, a family member of mine had a lottery account set up online, and they were initially playing on a Wednesday and a Saturday, and they decided that it was too much money, that they'd rather just play once a week. So I think they asked me to change it for them to, instead of Wednesday and Saturday, to only Saturday. So, and again, this was another form of cutting down and learning that, it was kind of a lot of waste of money, and maybe to play less. So then, but my idea of cutting down was, as I say, it was just, playing the lotto only, but it was still £4 a week down the toilet, to be quite honest. And the amount of sort of £10 I'd won, and more recently when the price went up to £2, you get a higher prize of £25. I can remember winning £25 2 times, And the really ironic thing is that when I made a decision later on, there was a sort of final sort of win as well, which I'll sort of talk about a bit later. But you can probably see from where I'm going with this, I feel that lotteries are like a waste of money and a waste of energy and time, and that there's much better things to do with your money. Obviously for me, £2, you could buy something from the supermarket with that, or you could go to a market and buy some vegetables. You could buy a coffee. It's still better than money down the toilet. If you put away those £2, you could save up some money to buy something that you really want and that's going to last you a lot longer and give you more pleasure and entertainment. So ultimately it's kind of realizing that the chances of winning are really difficult, basically. I just want to just briefly go into a bit of early history as well, on the lottery. So the first recorded signs of the lottery are keno slips from the Chinese Han Dynasty between 205 and 187 BC. These lotteries are believed to have helped to finance major government projects like the Great Wall of China. From the Chinese, the Book of Songs, 2nd millennium BC, comes a reference to a game of chance as the drawing of wood, which in context appears to describe the drawings of lots. From the Celtic era, the Cornish words telu pren translates into to throw wood and means to draw lots. The Iliad of Homer refers to lots being placed into Agamemnon's helmet to determine who would fight Hector. The first known European lotteries were held during the Roman Empire, mainly as an amusement at dinner parties. Each guest would receive a ticket, and prizes would often consist of fancy items such as dinnerware. Every ticket holder would be assured of winning something. This type of lottery, however, was no more than the distribution of gifts by wealthy noblemen during the Saturnalian revelries. The earliest records of a lottery offering tickets for sale is the lottery organized by Roman Emperor Augustus Caesar. The funds were for repairs in the city of Rome, and the winners were given prizes in the forms of articles of an equal value. So there you go, that just gives you a little bit of history on it. But as I say, there's a lot of people that have wasted a lot of money, and I'm included in that, and I know many friends and family that are included in that. And my plea to them is to have a look at the real chances of winning, weigh up if you think it's worth chancing the money on it. If there's other ways that you can sort of work towards becoming financially free, be it setting up a side business, kind of like, I don't know, starting some kind of small business, or just sort of saving a lot of your money and investing it, maybe getting into property, for example. There's lots of ways to achieve financial freedom, and they're actually, you have a much better chance of achieving it than you do by playing the lottery. So that's just something to kind of consider. I want to talk a bit about the odds of winning. And these are just a few things that there's more chance of it happening, but it's still really tough. Okay, so I'm going to try to figure out the odds of winning the lottery. Here are some things that are more likely to happen to you. So I'll just read out from this list that I've found online. Odds of getting struck by lightning in your lifetime are 1 in 3,000. Odds of being injured by a toilet this year are 1 in 10,000. Odds of getting killed by a shark, 1 in 3.7 million. Odds of dying from an asteroid or comet, between 1 in 3,000 and 1 in 250,000. Odds of your car hitting a deer in Hawaii, the state where that is least likely to occur, 1 in 6.787. Odds of dying from a bee sting, 1 in 6 million. Odds of being murdered today in the United States, 1 in 19,000. So there you just have it, it's kind of giving you an idea of the things that are more likely to happen. And there's many more that I've found, but they're just a few that stood out for me. So ultimately, I think it's a bit of a fool's game, and it's been referred to as an idiot tax. And there's another thing I just want to bring up. A lot of people don't like the amount of tax they pay to the government as things stand, and obviously by continuing to play the lottery you are paying a tax, and this sort of money could be spent on anything from kind of weapons to going into wars to other countries. And I understand why people want to lessen the amount of tax they pay, because there are a lot of good reasons to not pay a lot. And if you're unhappy with how the government is operating right now, just by playing the lottery you are actually increasing the amount of tax you're paying, instead of trying to look at ways of maybe not giving as much to them so that they can do what they're doing. So I kind of ask people to think about that. If you don't want them to build more tanks and different things like that, then obviously it makes sense to not play ultimately. I'd like to go through some Bible quotes, mainly on gambling, and I'll just read a few of them. One of them's a pretty classic one. It's from 1 Timothy 6:10. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which will some coveted after. They have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. And then another one that I quite liked was from Hebrews 13:5. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have, for he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Now to me that's always been very important, to be content with what you have. If you have shelter, food and clothing, then there's nothing more really you need. I mean, another example could be you have a computer that is quite old, but it's adequate. It does exactly what you need it to do. There's no reason for you to buy a new one until it breaks, unless you can't do the things you want on it. Then that could be a reason to potentially upgrade and get a better model. And the same goes for a car. A lot of people have car for a year or two, and then they decide that they're not happy, they want to sell it and get a different car. And of course the car that they sell is perfectly fine. It gets them from A to B. It works. There's no problems with it at all. And again, it's being content. I always buy second-hand cars. I've never bought a new car. I'm content to keep buying second-hand cars. The car I've got right now, I'm happy to just keep driving it until forever if I can, if it can still run. I have no desire to buy a better car than the one I've got, mainly because I'm not very passionate about cars. There are people that are into cars, that might be their thing. So for me, I'm content to just carry on driving a Toyota. To me it doesn't matter. Another key quote that I'd like to give is from Matthew 6:24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. And to me, if you want to replace the mammon with lottery, winning the lottery and winning money, you cannot serve God, and you cannot, be gambling, because gambling, there's a risk. You lose more than you'll ever win. I think I remember there was a quote in episode 1 of Star Wars by by Liam Neeson's character. I think it was Qui-Gon, but I can't quite remember because it's been a while since I saw it. But I think he said to somebody that if you keep gambling, you're going to eventually, you're going to lose, and you'll probably lose more than you'll win. So it's kind of for fools, basically. I'm going to just finish off with a Proverbs quote, 13:11. Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathers by labour shall increase. So so that's just something to think about from the good book, the Holy Bible there, King James 16:11. Okay, so I'm going to finish on what's the secret to winning the lottery. Now, I guess many people have tuned in to kind of find out what is the secret, and to be quite honest with you, there is no secret. I feel that the best thing to do if you want to win against the system of the lottery is simply to stop playing and don't pay any more money towards it ever. And to me that is the answer. And just whatever money you were going to use to play it, start putting it into a jar, let it build up, maybe invest it, buy a gift for somebody, give the money to a deserving charity if you feel there's one, give it to a homeless guy. There'll be many times when I'll walk past a Tesco, small Tesco over here, and I'll see a homeless person outside the cash machines, and there were times when I would have coins in my pocket and would have gone in and played the lottery, but instead I'll give the money to them and they can buy some food with it, hopefully. And or there's one guy that I see quite a lot that sort of says that he's trying to get money together to stay in a hostel or a hotel for a night, to sort of have a shower and things like that. So if I could sort of give the money that I would have given to the lottery to that cause, and it's genuine, then obviously I'd much rather do that. And that's another thing about lottery, it kind of comes across selfish. Obviously you're playing to win yourself. Now there'll be people that win it and are really generous and give away loads of it to deserving causes and deserving people and helping their immediate community, but then there'll be people that don't really care about anyone and just and to me, I'm going to try and use an example. Imagine you're in a relationship and it's kind of like two people and you've got money to kind of take your partner out, but rather than take your partner out, both of you together, when you do get money, you're like, okay, I want to just go and eat for myself, might even go to the cinema by myself. So you don't want to share the experience or share a meal. And you might buy alcohol, for example, just instead of keeping the money to pay the rent for to keep you both sheltered, you might use the money on alcohol or again buying lottery. And to me that is just such a waste. So the secret to beating the lottery is definitely not to play and to quit. And I did mention earlier about the last time that I played, and this, I'm not going to lie to anybody, it took me a long time to wake up to the lottery. I had a cousin that was always telling me it was a waste of time. He used to work in a shop where people would come in and buy the ticket, and he would always they would tell him that they were going to win, and he would laugh at them and tell them the odds. I mean, come on, it really is. Imagine a massive beach. Imagine how many grains of sand there are on the beach, and imagine the chances of me going to the beach one day, picking up a particular grain of sand, and then you going to the same beach the next day and picking up the same piece of grain of sand. That is the chance you have, and that just imagine a beach and just imagine how many grains of sand there are, and it is just a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of energy. There is absolutely no point at all to playing. It is just forget about it, and I don't want to get into arguments with people, but if anyone can kind of tell me that that you should play, because apparently they're saying it could be you, but how do you know that? You know, you don't know the winning numbers. Nobody does. And you know, I'm just trying to speak to you, just tell you not to play, and that is my honest opinion. And you know, I've been there as well, and it's hard to quit because you kind of keep thinking, well, if I stop now, what if I would have won, or I might win? And I'll use another example. In the past, I used to go on holiday, and I used to have such a nice time on holiday. And when I used to come back, I used to feel terrible. I used to be like, oh no, I'm coming back and got to go back to work. And you know, I was having so much fun on holiday. Now that's all going to end. And the first thing I thought about when I came back was, well, I can always sort of have a drink, or I can always play the lottery, and maybe I'll feel better, you know, and maybe I'll win, and then I can go back to that holiday. But that's not the way to do things. The way to do it is to do things for yourself, or in a team. You know, if you want to, you know, join forces with friends or family to create something, to kind of do something real, not do something where you're just hoping or believing or putting your faith in. Because in my mind, I feel that the only thing you should be putting faith in is Yeshua. But you know, that's my perspective, and you know, to me, playing the lottery is just worshipping mammon. It's just, you know, it's a greedy, selfish act that I just feel there are better things to be doing with our money. Like I say, giving, investing, helping others, volunteering your time. You know, that money can help you in times of an emergency, so you can set up an emergency fund. I do plan to kind of talk more about finance later on in later pods, so I am going to be talking about different finance methods and ways to operate in commerce in the best possible way. But definitely my advice is, I mean, I am going to do a separate episode on gambling, because that is, you know, similar to lottery, but there's plenty to talk on that subject as well. But anyway, thank you very much for listening to the pod. Hope you like. Be great if you could leave a review on iTunes if you think it's good. I just wanted to mention quite a few things have changed recently. I've got a new Twitter address. The new address is SDR pod, so it's at SDR pod, and I've got a new website address which is sdrpod.com, and I've also got a app for the podcast which is available at the Google Play Store, as well as the Apple Store. If you just search for Superb Diamond Range or Superb Diamond Range app, it's available there for sale. And the plan is that I'm going to be doing video blogs on that, and also there'll be extra audio content down the line that I'm planning to add, which again will be available to people that buy the app, as a way to support the show and to keep the lights on, so to speak. Obviously, I hope you enjoy the content, and I hope you don't feel upset about my thoughts on the lottery, because, as I say, I was once, like you might have been, playing regular, believing I could win. But trust me, you're much better off without it, and your life will be better, and you will go on to achieve greatness within your lives. So just remember that. So basically I'll just go through contact details for the show. So you can email me at superbdiamondrange@gmail.com. The website is sdrpod.com, and the Twitter is at sdrpod. And I'd like to say thank you very much for listening, and appreciate you for being a listener, and peace out.